Hey everybody, it's Peter with BibleMoneyMatters.com talking today about credit card debt and how to negotiate your credit card debt, how to try to get your interest rates lowered, and if that fails, what your other options might be. For most people in the United States, credit card is often the only source of backup cash. If they were to run into some sort of a problem as far as maybe they have a burst pipe in their basement or need to replace an appliance or their car breaks down. National Foundation for Credit Counseling found that 64% of Americans would use a source other than their savings in order to pay for an unplanned $1,000 expense. A good number of those people, I'm assuming, would be using credit cards in order to pay for that. The thing is, all those people are not saving up an emergency fund to pay for that stuff, but Money Magazine found that 78% of us will have a major negative event happen in our lives in any given 10-year period. So most of those people are going to be having a major negative event that they're going to have to pay for. Without those savings to pay for it, usually what's going to happen is people have to use their credit cards in order to pay for the issues that come up, whether it's a major health issue and medical bills, or if it's their house being flooded or something along those lines. So, if you don't have an emergency fund saved up and you have an emergency to deal with, and you've built up a ton of credit card debt, what are your options? What can you do as far as lowering your rates? And if that doesn't work, what other options do you have if you have a mountain of debt that you can't get out from under? First of all, one of the first things that people may want to look into is negotiating a lower rate on their credit card. One thing I've learned over the past few years is it never hurts to ask for a lower rate, lower interest rate, whatever. I've been able to, in my own house here, negotiate lower rates on our TV service, ask for a reduction in medical bills when we had them, ask our bank to remove an overdraft charge due to my own math mistake. So it really never hurts to just ask for a discount or for a reduction in rate. Negotiating a rate with your lower rate with your credit card company isn't always going to be successful, but there are some things you can do to help make yourself a little bit more successful. First of all, gather information on competitive credit cards and rates. Bring together a bunch of offers that you've received in the mail as far as 0% offers and balance transfer offers and so forth, and use that as kind of a starting point to negotiate with your own credit card company. You can show them, hey, I've got this offer and this offer. I don't want to leave the company for this other company. What can you do as far as lowering the rate? Second of all, call and ask for a supervisor, or ask for someone who has the ability and authority to lower your rate for you. Quite often the first person you talk to on the phone isn't able to do that, so one of the questions you might want to ask right away is, are they authorized in order to lower your rate? Always be polite and courteous when you're calling in. The old saying goes, you'll catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, and I found that to be true as well. I've been much more successful when I'm polite and courteous and try to get that person I'm talking to on the phone on my side. Another thing, mention your history with the company. Mention that you've been a good customer for X number of years, you'd like to continue being a customer, and you've got a good payment and credit history up until this point, that you want to keep that going, and you just need a little bit of help as far as the interest rates and being able to continue making your payments. So ask them to match offers and rates from other companies, or ask them to match their own offers. Maybe you've seen an offer in a magazine or something for your company. Ask them to match that offer. When all that fails, you can also ask about hardship or workout programs that the credit card company may have. Often for those types of programs, if you're really struggling to make payments, they will offer you this workout program or hardship program. Only thing with those programs, however, is quite often you'll be asked to close the credit card and convert your debt into an installment loan, a secured installment loan with direct pay to your bank. So that can be a little problematic sometimes, but if you don't have many other options, it can get you a much lower rate and make it easier to pay off your balance. Some of the questions you can ask when you call in to negotiate your rate. I got these from Negotiate My Rate from Debt Goal. First of all, ask the person on the phone, are you authorized to lower my rate? Just ask that right up front, and if not, ask for a supervisor or someone who is authorized to lower the rate. You can ask, do you have a promotional rate that I can take advantage of? Ask, what do I have to do to get a lower rate? Can I call back later if I meet those criteria? And finally, again, ask, can I qualify for a hardship program? What are the criteria for that? And what can I do to qualify? Sometimes you'll be successful in getting a lower rate, sometimes you won't be. You may want to consider finding another credit card and transferring the balance if it makes sense. Just be aware of balance transfer fees with those new companies. If you're not successful in getting a lower rate and you're having a hard time making even your minimum payments, you may have to consider another option. I would suggest working with a credit counseling agency, a nonprofit one, specifically working with the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. They're a nonprofit that will help you get with a local credit counselor that will help you out in your situation. You can find them at nfcc.org. And what they will do is they'll talk to you about your entire situation and figure out what the best option for your situation is going to be. Some things that they might talk about include a debt management plan. A debt management plan will allow you to pay your debt back over time, often with a reduced interest rate and reduced balances in some cases. Basically, the counseling agency will meet with you, make arrangements with all of your credit card companies and all your creditors on your behalf, and then typically all of your credit cards will be included in one big bundle in the program, and you'll typically make payments to your agency, your credit counseling agency, who will then pay your creditors. Typically, with that type of a program, it's going to cost a setup fee of $30 to $40 and then monthly fees of around $30 a month or more. Shouldn't be too much more. And it'll usually take 3 to 5 years to pay off. Again, work with a reputable agency. There are a bunch of scam type companies out there that are going to charge a lot more or are going to ask for money up front or much more money up front. So beware of those companies. Another thing that might happen is they might suggest you try doing a debt settlement. Again, work through a third-party company or agency to settle your debts for less than you owe. It can be tough to get companies to agree to these types of things, however, because if you're already in trouble, missing payments and stuff, just make sure to get everything in writing when you agree to the settlement. Beware of third-party companies. They're going to make wild claims about how much they'll get your debt settled for, pennies on the dollar or whatever. Often they're not going to be that reputable, and they're going to be doing things like accepting your payments instead of you sending them to the company, and you'll become in arrears with your creditor, and at that point they'll agree to settle for less, but at that point your credit is ruined and the situation is actually worse than it was when it started. So there are situations, however, where debt settlement might be a good thing to look into. It's something you can do on your own as well. You don't need a third-party agency necessarily. Another option is doing a debt consolidation. In some cases that might make sense to work with a bank or even a company like Lending Club in order to get a consolidation loan to take higher interest credit card debts and move them into a lower interest consolidation loan. Just make sure first of all that you're not bundling in any loans that are at a lower rate than the consolidation loan, and make sure that you're actually getting a better situation and paying less by doing the loan, because sometimes when you get into those loans they'll be for a longer term, and in the long run you end up paying more. It can be kind of deceiving because often your payments will be less but you'll pay more over the longer term, so be careful about that. Another option that does have to be considered in some cases when the debt is large enough or if you're really not able to make payments is bankruptcy. In those cases you're probably going to want to talk to a bankruptcy attorney to look into what your options are with that situation. But again, it's definitely something to be considered because the bankruptcy will be on your credit report, appearing there for 7 to 10 years, and it can be difficult once you have it on your report to buy a home, even to rent. Certain jobs, if you have that bankruptcy on there, will be tough to get. So it's something that you really need to think through closely. So dealing with credit card debt It's not going to be a fun thing to go through. Your best bet is to plan ahead so you don't end up in debt. Get that emergency fund set up and save, plan ahead. But if you do end up with that credit card debt, just know that you have options. You can look into getting your rates reduced, and barring that happening, you can always work with a credit counseling agency like the National Foundation for Credit Counseling and work on a debt management plan, debt settlement, bankruptcy, or a debt consolidation loan. So there are options out there. It's not going to be fun, but as long as you work hard at it, you can get some sort of a good resolution out of it. Love to hear your comments on the post on Bible Money Matters or on the video on YouTube about debt consolidation, about credit card debt, any of the topics discussed in the video. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.